Hello everyone, welcome to our English class. Today I am here with you to talk about the poem Stanzas Written in Dejection Near Naples, written by Percy Bysshe Shelley. Shelley is an important English writer of the Romantic period. He was born on August 4th, 1792. He died at a young age, the age of 29. Shelley began writing poems at an earlier age, that is, when he was studying at Eton College. Some of his poems written during that time are original poetry by Victor and Kezard, the Esdale Notebook, a novel, Zastrossi. When Shelley went to University College in Oxford, that is in 1810, he had already published so many of his writings. He has become uh, a published writer. He was also a voracious reader. In the University College, he met another famous personality, that is Thomas Jefferson Hogg, and they became very good friends. They had a lot of serious discussions on various topics related to philosophy, literature, science, magic, religion, and politics. Shelley believed in atheism, and during his stay at Oxford, he published The Necessity of Atheism. This was published in 1811, and this publication had a very dangerous effect on his relationship with his family members. Shelley and Hogg also jointly brought out a collection of poems titled Posthumous Fragments of Margaret Nicholson. Shelley was expelled from Oxford along with his friend Hogg for publishing the radical work Necessity of Atheism. He was asked to leave England permanently in 1818 as the Conservative Society was not able to accept or not able to tolerate his radical ideas. Okay, so some of his notable works are Prometheus Unbound, Queen Mab, Hymn to Intellectual Beauty, Adonius, to a Skylark, Ode to the West Wind, Ozymandias. Okay, so here in our textbook we have the poem Stanzas Written in Dejection Near Naples. So in this poem we can see the speaker very depressed, who is very much left alone, and then he is contemplating, he is sitting at a seashore and then contemplating. So the poet discusses the power of nature throughout in this poems. Stanzas Written in Dejection is actually a 5 stanza poem. Each of these stanzas has 9 lines. The stanzas are also known as Spenserian stanzas, as the structure of this stanza is similar to that of the structure of the Fairy Queen, written by Edmund Spenser. The poem describes the feeling of alienation that the speaker suffers from, and it also discusses how he attempts to soothe his pain in the company of nature. Okay. So here is the first stanza of the poem, Stanzas Written in Dejection Near Naples. The sun is warm, the sky is clear, the waves are dancing fast and bright. Blue isles and snowy mountains wear the purple noon's transparent might. The breath of the moist earth is light. Around its unexpanded buds, like many a voice of one's delight. The winds, the birds, the ocean floods, the city's voice itself is soft like solitudes. So the poem begins with the speaker stating that He is observing a beautiful day. We can see the sun is warm that day and the sky is clear. It seems like a pleasant day. The landscape around him picturizes both blue isles, snowy mountains, and also sea. He observes everything, he listens to the voice of nature, and the voice seems to him like that of solitude. Let's move on to the second stanza. I see the deep's untrampled floor with green and purple seaweed strewn. I see the waves upon the shore like light dissolved in star showers thrown. I sit upon the sands alone. The lightning of the noontide ocean is flashing round me, and a tone arises from its measured motion. How sweet did any heart now share in my emotion. So, in this second stanza, he looks deeper into the sea. The sea seems to be untrampled, untouched. It is untouched by any human presence. The lines in this particular stanza describes how the earth is fertile. He can hear the wind, he can hear the birds, oceans, the city, everything, but they make a sound which is soft like that of solitude. So waves are touching the shore, the light is dissolved in star showers. They reflect the lights of the sky and throw them out for all to enjoy. So he says it would have been very sweet if somebody is there to share his emotion. He is so depressed. The speaker is immersed in the natural elements. Throughout his life he was not able to find any kind of contentment. He is not satisfied about the life. He thinks that he could find a sense of satisfaction in meditating in the presence of nature. He is actually not able to find peace. Third stanza. Alas, I have nor hope nor health nor peace within, nor calm around, nor that content surpassing wealth, the sage in meditation found, and walked with inward glory crowned, nor fame, nor power, nor love, nor leisure. Others I see whom these surround, smiling they live and call life pleasure. To me, that cup has been dealt in another measure. So, this stanza goes into the emotional state of the speaker. He is not enlivened by the sights he sees. He is not becoming happy. The sight is really beautiful. The presence of nature will certainly make people compassionate, but then he is not feeling okay even in the presence of this beautiful nature. He instead broods on his own depression. He just meditates on his own depression. He just thinks about whatever he has lost in life. He lists all the things that he does not have, and he wishes it would be good if he had all those things. So he talks about leisure, he talks about love, fame, power, hope, health. So all these are out of his reach. That is what he believes. He says that all other people around him have found happiness, but nothing seems to make him happy. So this hopelessness leads him to a dark place, and he is not able to get out of that depressed mind. Next answer. Yet now despair itself is mild, even as the winds and waters are. I could lie down like a tired child and weep away the life of care, which I have borne and yet must bear, till death like sleep might steal on me, and I might feel in the warm air my cheek grow cold, and hear the sea breathe over my dying brain its last monotony. So, in this stanza, the speaker is looking at his own situation from the perspective of an outsider. He looks at things in a very sad way, in a very pessimistic way. He sees that his depression is mild and it's not very strong. It is as passing and formless as the winds and waters are. He acknowledges that he could lie down and weep like a tired child. So he is so sad that he wants to just lie down on the seashore and then cry like a child. So he is not able to do that because he is an adult. This is one way in which he could spend his rest of his life. He might be taken away, his life might be taken away by death, and during that time, his cheek might become cold. So he is thinking about his death. He is so depressed that he is thinking about his dying brain, his cold cheeks and all. He is just thinking about his last days. And in the final stanza, he says that some might lament that I were cold as I, when the sweet day is gone, which my lost heart too soon grown old, insults with this untimely moan. They might lament, for I am one whom men love not, and yet regret, unlike this day, which when the sun shall on its stainless glory set, will linger though enjoyed, like joy in memory yet. So, in this last stanza, a speaker is attempting to improve his mood by enjoying the moment, enjoying the company of nature that he is uh, in at present. So he understands that how time passes. He knows that if he doesn't enjoy the present, it will go on waste. This last stanza appears to be a little optimistic when we compare to the other stanzas in the poem. The poet removes himself further from his own situation, and he also considers how others will see him after his death. The speaker thinks that some people may lament his death. He also says that people would also see him and understand him as one whom men love not. So he thinks that people are not accepting him, people are not accepting his work, people are not accepting him as a person. So generally people tend to see him as one whom they did not love. He says that he will not regret the day he loved amongst the beautiful landscapes near Naples, as this is a beautiful time, and he will not regret this moment. It will certainly become a good memory in his heart. So when we look at the biography of the poet, Shelley was suffering from depression due to number of reasons. His first wife had committed suicide, and the courts had taken the custody of his children. So the poet was neglected, and even his writings were neglected by the public. Only posthumously his writings became famous. He also suffered from poor health, and all these problems constituted to his depression. So the poet's state of dejection is artistically placed in this poem, and it is quite contrast to the beautiful setting of the Naples. Okay, so Shelley's state of dejection is quite contradictory to the beautiful and soothing landscape of Naples. No matter how much harmony is there in the nature, how much harmony that exists between nature and man, human beings must be in a condition to accept that harmony and then find pleasure in their lives. So Shelley was far from being in such a condition. So Shelley was in Naples from 1818 to 1819, and Naples The place in winter offers a pleasantly warm climate. But Shelley was in poor health during that time, and even this pleasant weather, delightful weather, could not make him happy. Shelley experienced one of his lowest period of his life during his stay in Naples. So nature, no matter how beautiful, was of little help to him. It was not able to elevate his mood. So, if we look at the vocabulary, there are certain words which may need attention. First one is dejection. So, dejection means a state of depression. Another word that you can note is despair. Despair means one loses hope. One loses hope. They don't have any hope that the situation will improve. Next one, linger means stay. Linger means stay. To take a long time to disappear or die. So, uh, the memories of those days lingered in my mind will be an example. Lament means to express sorrow or unhappiness. It can also mean to cry. Monotony means repetitive. Monotony. Monotony means boring and repetitive. What do you mean by solitude? Yes, it is the state of being alone. Surpass means to overcome or to become better. So you might be getting an essay from this poem. So try to write a summary of this poem on your own. That's all for now. Thank you. Thank you, students, for listening.